This is one of my secret weapons I'm about to share right now.
This is a secret. This is the secret.
That's a secret weapon. There's so many scams that's so normalized. People don't even know that it's scams anymore. Hear me out. I'm not saying that y'all shouldn't go to school, right? That's not what I'm saying. We need our lawyers, our doctors, our CPAs,
For sure.
our nurses. You know, we need our essential workers. But you go to school. They tell you to go to school, right? You go to school and you come out with student loans. And student loans are maybe $100K. And you're making $40,000 gross, not net, gross. And then you're supposed to live, you're supposed to save, you're supposed to have a home, you're supposed to have a white picket fence, 2.5 kids, and still pay the student loan. At what point will you finish paying that student loan? If you're barely surviving off of everything that's left, because remember, that $40,000 a year is gross. That 25 or 35% tax didn't come out of it yet.
Look, but I know Biden just forgave student loans. But, you know, the homie told me that you can get them taken off the report.
Come on, those are easy.
What's the sauce?
Okay. Anything on your credit can be deleted. Any single thing. What you have to learn is the FICO pie chart, right? People think that a FICO score is your credit. It's not. A FICO score is only a risk score. Your credit or your consumer report is the information needed to generate the FICO score. A FICO score or a FICO and its algorithm has nothing to do with your consumer report. They're completely independent. A FICO score only exists with the information from your consumer reports. So FICO is an algorithm that's an industry standard for a risk score model that lenders use to gauge your credibility and your eligibility when they're going to extend credit to you, right? It starts from 300, it ends at 850. It's better if I show you. I'm going to show y'all why I'm the credit hero.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to show y'all why consumer law is the gold, and I'm going to show y'all why or how I regained 357.5 points, and that's how I built out an 800 credit score 3 times, and I wrote a FICO ebook that I'm going to tell you guys about. I'm going to show you guys the whole breakdown. So the reason why I am the best at credit, and I can say this, I can take on a whole panel of credit repair business owners and still win, even 10 against 1, just like Thanos whooped everybody in Avengers, right? So a lot of us know about FICO, right? And FICO is the industry standard. In this industry standard, the FICO ranges from 300 to 850, right? So that gives us what? 550 points. Now, these 550 points, they're broken down into categories. So the categories, we have payment history. Then we have what? Utilization. After utilization, we have age. After age, we got mix, the mixture of the credit, and then we have queries, right? This is what makes up the FICO algorithm. This is what? 35%, 30, 15, 10, and 10. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that this also, see how the board is cool? Right? This also, remember earlier we spoke about the 550 points?
Right.
This is broken down into these categories.
Okay.
So at 35%, we have 192.5 points. Here we have 165. Here we have 82.5, 55, and then we got 55. This totaling 550, this totaling 100%.
What about the 850, like the 850 credit score?
550 is the scale of 300 to 850.
Oh yeah, you can't go long. You can't
Correct.
go lower
This
than
is the
300.
lowest, quote unquote, you're supposed to be on the FICO scale, and this is the maximum.
But technically, I've seen people have a 0. Like, they don't have a score.
Well, that's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to report. So a lot of people don't know that how credit is calculated is by information. So if the information is good, you got a high credit score. If the information is bad, you got a low credit score.
Right.
Right? So information changes whether the credit report, the credit score goes up or down, but it's the information from your consumer report. Now, late payments fall into this category. Late payments. Late payments can affect you up to what? 192.5 points. That's the category. Maxing out your credit cards, when people max out, potentially they're losing up to 165 points. But guess what? Late payments or payment history, these two does not exist on your consumer reports. And this was when I learned the game. This was how I built out the 800. These only exist for FICO.
Right.
It has nothing to do with your consumer report.
So your FICO and your consumer report are two different things.
Absolutely.
Right.
Let me prove it. Take your phone out, right?
Gotcha.
I want you to Google 15 USC. So we're going to Google 15 USC 1681A. And we're going to go to number 2, exclusions.
Got you.
Go down to number 2 to exclusions.
I'm here.
What does it say?
Except as provided in paragraph 3, the term consumer report does not include.
Does not include. The term consumer report does not include, right?
Right.
So is it fair to say that whatever they're about to say right now is not included?
It's not included in
It's
your
not
consumer
included,
report.
right? In the consumer report. Click the word consumer report. Let's find out what consumer report means.
In general, the term consumer report means any written, oral, or other communication of any information by a consumer reporting agency bearing on a consumer's credit worthiness, credit standing, credit capacity, character, general reputation, personal characteristics, or mode of living, which is used or expected to be used or collected in whole or in part of the purpose or for the purpose of serving as a factor in establishing the consumer's eligibility for.
When you read the definition of what your consumer report means, and that's law, that's Congress, did you see anything about a FICO score?
Nope.
Did you see anything about a Vantage score?
Nope.
FICO and Vantage does not exist on the consumer report. The consumer report is independent of FICO or Vantage and any of their factors. So it simply means that the factors that contribute to making up a FICO and a Vantage is not necessarily what is included or should be included on your consumer report. So now, learning this, well, the factors of FICO are payment history, utilization, age, mix, inquiries.
Right.
But these factors are irrelevant because the consumer report is independent of these factors. A FICO score cannot exist without the information from your consumer report. Your consumer report exists without a FICO score because when you go to annualcreditreport.com, you're able to pull your reports and there's no FICO scores attached.
There's no scores.
There's no scores. FICO is an independent company. Fair Azaks Corporation. It's a private company. It has nothing to do with the government, no government affiliation whatsoever. The same thing with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Also private companies that has nothing to do with the government.
I'm not gonna lie, you blowing my mind right now.
Right?
You about to make me crack.
This is how I cracked the code.
Yeah.
So when I learned this, I want you to finish reading number 2, the exclusions.
Does not include A, report containing information solely as to transactions or experiences.
Transactions. And what?
Experiences between the consumer and the person making the report.
Click on that word person. What does that mean?
The term person means an individual, partnership, corporation, trust, estate.
Corporation. Well, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Capital One, Chase, Navy Federal, MCU, these are all corporations. So the transaction between the consumer and the corporation making the report is excluded from your consumer report. So if Congress says that, your payment history, isn't that your transaction history?
Yeah.
So if Congress says transactions are excluded, where does a late payment come from? It doesn't exist.
It's not real.
A late payment is not a factor on your consumer report. It is only a factor for FICO. FICO does not make your consumer reports. What's a scam that's been so normalized that we don't know it's a scam? Credit.
Credit is the scam.
Not the credit itself. The assumption of knowing what credit is.
Not understanding how credit works.
Correct. What are these factors we're talking about? Who is FICO? Who is Experian? Who is TransUnion? Who is Equifax?
Right.
Where did the word credit bureau even come from?
Where did it come from?
It's a made-up word. It's a play upon words. My people are destroyed because of what? A lack of knowledge. So if we know that in the beginning was the Word, we know the Word was with God and the Word became flesh. Isn't it safe to say the Word is the most powerful thing? Control a population's mind. You can control and influence all your behavior.
I love that, like, because I just read this book called The Four Agreements, and the first agreement is be impeccable with your word, because your word is your world, and so the more that you say, everything that you say influence the people around you, also influence your own thoughts.
The power of water. So if what we speak unto ourselves become flesh and everything about a future outcome is a lie because it hasn't happened yet, you have to make it up. Well, if I make up the conditions that I want to happen for me, why would I not make up the outcomes that I want? But a lot of people, what they're going to say, oh, I've always had bad credit. I don't know about credit. I always get denied. Well, that's why you keep getting denied, because of the words you are using on yourself. So when I learned this, I was able to regain. How much is 192.5 plus 165?
357.
3.5.
So this is
when
what you've been
I
saying.
learned this.
This is what you got back.
That is what I got back. And that was how I was able to build an 800 credit score 3 times in 1 year.
Wow.
Game changer.
So what do you do with that? Like, now that you have it back, like, how do you control that?
If you control the information, you control the credit score. The information gives the credit score. The person that controls the information controls the score. So now if you know that you can delete anything from your credit, well, I want you to look up 15 USC.
Obligations with respect to disclosures of personal information. So what I have here, it says, except as otherwise provided in this subchapter, a financial institution may not directly or through any affiliate disclose any non-affiliated third party, any non-public personal information, unless such financial institution provides or has provided to the consumer a notice that complies with section 6803 of this title.
So there's a section there called opt-out, right? This is one of my secret weapons I'm about to share right now. I want you to read what opt-out says.
This is the secret. This is the secret.
That's a secret weapon.
This is that guy. All right. So opt-out. A financial institution may not disclose non-public personal information to a non-affiliated third party unless such financial institution clearly or conspicuously disclosed to the consumer in writing or in electronic form or other form permitted by the regulations prescribed under section 6804 of this title, that such information may be disclosed to such third party. B, the consumer is given the opportunity before the time that such information is initially disclosed to direct such information not to be disclosed to such third party. C, the consumer is given an explanation of how the consumer can exercise that non-disclosure option.
Okay, so what did you get from reading B?
Is that they basically need to tell you, they need to communicate that they're going to disclose your information.
Correct. See, a consumer reporting agency or a financial institution cannot disclose your information without giving you 3 disclosures that you have to agree to. If you don't agree to A, B, and C, by law, they cannot disclose your information. Oftentimes, we get one disclosure, which is A. And A says, before they disclose your information, they need to tell you. That's the normal disclosure you will see, but a lot of people don't know that B and C are missing. So the actual reporting of their information is actually fraudulent because, one, they didn't get B and C, and B says that before the time that they report your information, they must give the consumer that disclosure. And then C says when they give that consumer that disclosure and the consumer decides to opt out or not have that information disclosed, they need to now tell you what you need to do not to have the information reported. But guess what? They never did. They never gave the consumers B and C, because if people knew that they controlled what got reported, it would have been a different game.
I've been running up my back, and I see it in their face that these motherfuckers mad. I can't let them stop my grind.